Welcome to the Raptors Show on Sportsnet 590, The Fan. I'm your host, Wim Liu. Joining me is Alex Wong. What's going on? What's going on, Alex? What are we doing today?
What's up? What's up? I was just listening to my headphones, and I guess we're not on radio today.
We are not on
So
radio.
I'm
So it's
just
throwing,
hearing the Leafs game.
throwing us up for a loop a little bit, but we are on YouTube and Sportsnet 360.
Yeah.
So,
What's up, man?
what
Happy
else?
Friday, everybody.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday. Raptors just had practice down at OVO, and us being dedicated reporters, one of us at least went to the game or went to the facilities to sort of check out what's been going on with the team, and got a couple of things to report.
Yeah. So report away.
Okay, so first off, Fred was a participant at practice, which is always good to hear. He is questionable for the game. Scottie is questionable for the game as well on Saturday against Dallas. But he did not participate in practice. I did not see him walking around or anything like that. And it's a situation where, I think you hope to get some more bodies back. I think Delano's probably going to be back. It was nice to just sort of see guys get in some work. Obviously, I think Otto is still a while away. Precious is still a while away, but just nice to see them being on the court and doing a couple of things, very light shooting and things like that. It was also great to just hear from Nick. There was a lot of conversations about how he's going to guard Luka. And I think probably the bigger conversation was just like, do you always have to double the superstar? Like there was a part where essentially the reporters there asked him about sort of his defensive strategies. And I think Nick kind of pushed back on that and said, like, that's not all I do, right? I'm trying to build strategies to win each game. But ultimately, a lot of that does have to do with doubling players who, a guy like Luka, that's the guy that's out of all the superstars, that's the guy that has given the Raptors the most trouble under the Nick Nurse era. I don't remember another player who consistently puts up triple doubles despite whatever defense the Raptors throw at him. And we saw it earlier this season already. That was the game where Pascal went down. Well, Luka really went off in that game. And the one I always come back to is, Luka as a rookie versus the Raptors. That was the year the Raptors won the championship. The Raptors had Marc Gasol on that team, Serge Ibaka, Kawhi Leonard. Obviously Pascal was still around. Kyle, everyone knows who the championship team was, right? We were guarding him with Kawhi Leonard, and Luka Doncic put up a triple-double with like 35 points. Yeah. So he is the star that's given the Raptors the most issues. And but no, it's just good to be at practice. I think a couple of things that really stand out. The Raptors have put in this video board in the back where they sort of track every single shot, right? And it tracks three things. It tracks arc of the shot, how high it goes, tracks the depth of the shot, how far it travels.
Oh, this is the board that when we go in, it just says win. Is that the one?
No. It's the other
okay.
board.
This
it's
is
the
a
other
separate
board that shows
one.
essentially it's like motion tracking, right?
So it's got all the tracking, all the stats.
And it's got the three categories. And essentially it ranges from red on both ends, and then if you're in the middle, you're in the green, right? Most players you see go up there and shoot have like 2 out of 3, right? Like their arc is a little flat, but their depth is good. And in terms of left and right, they're mostly centered. Thank you, Derek, for crawling through the studio to put on England versus USA. We're really buying some time here, but the dedication is incredible.
Shouts to producer Derek Brandale.
No, this guy's a
coming in the
superstar,
studio
man.
and making sure we have the right channel on for the World
This
Cup.
guy did a slide tackle underneath the camera, man.
Sorry, man. I can't stop laughing. I just looked to my left and Derek's in the studio crawling through. Oh, happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, happy Friday.
Yeah,
TGIF,
back to your practice.
Yeah, so
right?
anyway, so there's the board, and it shows you the results of if you have perfect arc, perfect depth, and then if perfect balance between left and right?
Yeah.
And we've seen lots of players sort of shoot in the gym and sort of get their feedback. Watching Fred just warm up. By the way, Fred was in there wearing full sweatpants and like a beanie.
Okay. Did you catch what was on the feet? Because you're a sneaker guy.
The heat on the feet? No.
Because I know you got the Liverpool Huaraches on today.
That's correct. Yeah, they're a little tight, but they're nice. You'll never walk alone, literally. Because they're on the shoes right now. But yeah. Watching Fred shoot,
so he was shooting.
He's literally green every single time, all the way down.
Okay.
It's actually really impressive to see. It's not like he's making every single shot.
Yeah.
But the arc and everything, the consistency on it is actually really impressive. Because again, we've seen lots of players shoot on that thing. They usually get 2 out of 3 perfect.
That is actually really interesting. And obviously, we know what that technology is bringing to helping the coaches and helping the players. I would love for civilians like ourselves to get in there.
Well, I was told that certain reporters, maybe not us because we don't.
Their names are.
Truthfully, we're not at practice like every single time.
Yeah,
because we're here to do the show.
We're preparing for a show.
Yes, I agree.
I have things to do.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But
what were you gonna say?
Some reporters were invited to go in and try it out. They had their names inputted. No, not today.
Oh,
not today.
okay.
If it was today, I wouldn't be here for the show. I'd still be at OVO working on my shot.
That is fair. Yeah.
But
wow, because I want to know.
You want to know? Okay.
I want to know when those hook shots go up. Like, what's the review? Like, am I dropping that hook at the right angle? Like, because that's the type of feedback it would give me, right? Is that the type, or the arc of the shot?
Mostly for jumpers.
Like arc of the shot or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's got arc, it's got depth, and it's got left and right.
Now I'm so curious about it now.
Yeah.
No,
well,
I
think there'll be other opportunities. Josh Su, salute. Maybe we set something up.
Okay, we got Rovin on the Chung, right? The Chung invite. We got Josh Su.
Honestly, at this point, we have good connections to every Asian person working in the org.
Yeah.
Actually, I think we're good.
This is why we always push for more diversity in organizations.
Right. So we have
because the opportunities open up for us. Yeah.
Okay.
Shouts to Tim Chung.
Shouts to Tim Chung, man.
Yeah. That's go talk right there. Too.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then the last thing, we were talking to Nick, right? The scrum was around Nick on the side of the practice.
Okay.
And in the side of the court nearest to us, OG was about to warm up. He was going through some drills with Earl Watson, assistant coach. And Pascal walked over. Now, Pascal obviously still hurt and whatever, but Pascal walked over, noticed that they were sort of doing these like one-on-one drills, right? Just practicing on your moves. And Pascal came over to share some tips with OG. Like literally came over and physically demonstrated a few moves. Just like giving tips to OG.
Vet ranking.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
Moving up in the vet rankings.
Pascal vet rankings is very high. There's some conversations about this. To Nick, obviously it was right beside us, so people started asking, Nick about Pascal's leadership, and he's talked about how, Pascal's really taken ownership of that. He's always sort of been a leader, but I think this year, like obviously he's the guy. Like this team
all jokes aside, it is cool because I think starting in the Tampa season, there was already talk about Pascal being a leader on the team, like what Pascal's role was going to be in the locker room. And I think it's always had to come very naturally to Pascal. And I think just leadership in general, we've talked about this. You can't force it, right? Like different players have different approaches, personalities at different points of their careers. I think it's cool to see Pascal comfortable in his skin now and being a leader on this team. Yeah,
no doubt. And I think it shows again like the commitment to winning, right? Like, and I think we brought this point up like in the lead up to the season. But if you are a player and you have a chance to either work out with Pascal or just like be up close and see his process, how do you not copy everything that he's doing? Because when Pascal came into the league, he was not this skilled. Yes, when he was in college, in his conference, he actually did put up like 20 and 12, and he had some scoring skills there, mostly in the post. But you look at the player that he's grown into, all of this shows hard work, right? And when you think about his offseason and how much work he put into that, I think any player who would have an opportunity to sort of do that would try to emulate, because that's just smart for their careers, right? You see how much Pascal's leveled up. And I think that earns some respect from the players. It's like, okay, well, if I'm a teammate of Pascal's and I see all the things that he's done this season, to start the year, I want to copy everything that he's doing. And that's the advice that I think like every single player on the team should be receiving and taking in, especially now that Pascal is not even more willing, just like, I think he's always been willing, but I think, he's more involved in that front. And I think, it just shows his dedication to winning. I also asked Nick if Pascal's leadership style is similar to Fred's, and he said, actually, it's very similar, which is interesting to me because I always imagine Fred is like personality-wise a little different from Pascal.
Yeah.
Fred's more like in your face, we'll
feel
yell
like
at a guy,
yeah,
like
we see Pascal in a certain way in public, and it's different Pascal in the locker room.
No, I guess so. Big chance missed there by who was that? Harry Kane? Was that Harry Kane in the middle? H.
Oh,
shout out to English people saying H instead of H.
Oh, is that what they say?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
They just call him H for Harry Kane.
Appreciate it. Again, everything I've learned about the World Cup has been forced upon me by William Liu.
Hey, to be fair, we do work
both on air and off air
for the premier, match.
Anyways,
yeah,
what's good, man? We got Twitter questions today.
That's right. That's what we're doing today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right.
So get to it, host.
Get to it. Okay,
we got you the soccer game on screen. Yeah. This is the least you can do.
Literally did the scene from Shawshank Redemption.
Derek
is
the MVP, man. That is an all-time Raptors Show moment, and we're never gonna forget it.
No, Put that in the banter pod.
No, I wish I filmed the video.
Okay. As always, we got a ton of Twitter questions.
Yes, appreciate everybody.
And if you want to send in questions, please send them to at the Raptors Show. That's probably where you'll find the most traction in terms of the responses and also just the DMs and stuff like that. It's easier to sort of find questions in there.
Questions we don't get to today on the show, we're going to take it to the next banter pod when we record.
Right. Which I'm going to try to pin you and just say next week. Next week, let's do it.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. This guy's hard to commit him to work. All right, next one.
I got to watch the World Cup.
That's correct. First one. Is Nick's style of defense difficult to sustain for players, especially given the minutes many of them are playing?
Yeah, what do you think, Will?
Oh, okay. You don't have basketball opinions?
I want to hear yours first so I can just piggyback off it.
I mean, I think okay, if you would ask Nick this question, I think Nick would push back and say, like,
sure,
there's not one consistent style of defense.
I feel like you had this conversation with Nick in a way. You guys did talk about like his defensive approach, right?
Well, I mean, what I asked him was like, you know, why do you design your defense to be so aggressive?
Yes.
And his answer is essentially like, I really want to bring ball pressure. I want to control which side of the floor the ball goes to in an ideal matchup or an ideal execution. Therefore, you can kind of know the rotations behind the ball. To be honest, that's not that different from most other defenses, right? But yeah, I think like especially nowadays, like you're seeing a lot more like simplified styles of defenses. Like I would say the switch everything and keep guys in front and don't send help style is a fairly simple approach. Obviously, it's not simple to execute in the sense that like you need great communication and cohesion, and obviously you need the positional flexibility to guard all those positions like that. But I think that's a little bit more simpler than the way the Raptors like to play, where you know a lot of times they're bringing double teams or they're playing zones or you know they're the full court press. But the thing is, like, is it too demanding? It's hard for me to say. I mean, you could look at metrics like you know are players running more you know miles or you know just the distance run, or are they having to run faster on the Raptors versus other teams? I think if you look through the Sport View data, it's probably not that different. It's not like the Raptors stand out like, hey, they run way more than the opponent. But I think it's more like you have to like mentally execute and be on a string all the time, and I think that might be more difficult. And then the physical portion, which is not to say that like the Raptors don't play a style of defense that's a lot predicated on their physicality or their speed and athleticism, but at the same time, like that's most defenses. Like this is the NBA. It's gonna be pretty hard to guard most of these guys. Like you're about to see Luka on Saturday. Like that's probably gonna be one of the most difficult guards in the league. Right, so you're gonna have to throw different things at them, and I think it's more of a mental challenge than it is, I think, a physical one. But in terms of the minutes, yeah, I'm sure that like, you know, minutes wise, it is hard, just because they're playing a lot of minutes, and I think probably too is I think Nick expects all his guys to be two-way guys, right? So like even though OG is probably your primary scorer right now, he will probably still put him on Luka, just like how when Pascal comes back, he'll be the primary scorer, but they'll expect him to, you know, guard on defense. And I think that's where with Nick, he doesn't really give a guy that opportunity to just play offense and give him simple, you know, assignments. Like this is not the way that, like, for example, the Bulls would treat DeMar DeRozan, where they sort of give him the easiest defensive assignment and then let him cook offensively. That's probably the approach that most stars in the league get, but the Raptors don't get that opportunity. But then again, it's like I don't mind that, right? Because if it's non-negotiable, which we've said all just the word of the week.
Once again,
if it's non-negotiables, everyone plays defense, then that includes the stars. So.
Yeah, I would push back too. I would say, yeah, I don't think it is that difficult to sustain, because if you look at the numbers too, last year in the second half of the season, weren't the Raptors like one of the top teams on defense? Like they were creeping up the standings, right? So like, and that was taking place in the second half of the season after a lot of players had obviously logged their minutes, and this is like down the stretch with the stretch run and stuff. So no, I think the answer for me is just no. I think Nick clearly holds his players to a high standard and demands a lot on that end of the floor. But I think to what you said, I really don't think like his expectations and what he asks for the players is really that much different from like a lot of other teams. I really don't feel that.
I mean, the Raptors, just watching like different games involving the Raptors or not involving the Raptors, it does look like the Raptors consistently rotate more than other teams.
Okay.
And I think that's probably where the genesis of this question comes from.
Sure.
But again, I think that like that's part of leveraging their strengths. Like, you know, they don't really have a shot blocker outside of Christian who's a rookie and is not playing like more than half the game. They will need to compensate for different areas. They got smaller players. They got a double team. Like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, like if Malachi gets stuck in the post against Luka, are you really not going to double team? You're really not going to rotate, like stuff like that. But I think what people are sort of catching more notice of is like when the Raptors double, two guys above the 3-point arc consistently, and that leaves corner shooters open, that leaves cutters open. Then people sort of say like, why is Nick trying to hold KD to 12 points when it means that everyone else can score? But I think the way, again, that Nick would push back is to say that, well, that's not the idea. The idea is that you force him into rotations and make longer passes and pick off some plays. And also, if a shot does go up, you ideally always want it to be contested and from, the fifth option, right? And if the Raptors execute time and time again, which they did not do in the Brooklyn game, then they can successfully do that. I think he's probably trying to leverage for the highest outcome or the best outcome rather than what is the safest outcome. You know what I mean?
Shouts to Mystery Sean on Twitter for kicking us off with this question.
Yeah.
Great question.
That's a great one. Another one on the topic of Nick. If you had to criticize Nick on one thing, what would it be? So Alex, you can't skirt this one. I know you got some critiques.
What's my critique of Nick Nurse, man?
One thing. Come on, man.
Man, I'm trying to think actually. Play with more different music artists.
Wow.
What else? I'm trying to think. Honestly, I don't know.
Really?
I honestly can't think of anything off the top of my head. I'm not even trying to squirt it right now. I'm not even trying to ignore the question.
Can I bring up some common ones?
Yeah. Bring up the common ones. And get my opinion.
Let's see if you
on
like
it.
those. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of people point to the fact that the Raptors rarely play pick and roll.
Okay.
Do you want to see the Raptors play more pick and roll?
Sure. Yes. Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm honestly drawing a blank in terms of just like a direct criticism of Nick.
What about the call outs? We already did that this week.
Well, the call outs.
You didn't mind the call outs.
Yeah.
As long as they're consistent and fair.
Well, here's my biggest question about the call outs is just like how close and how aligned is Nick with the front office? Like that's the one thing I'm always curious about, right?
Interesting.
Because when you're calling out, if you use Gary Trent Jr. as an example, the call out this week, right?
Yeah.
We know his contract situation. We know he's going to be a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
From a front office standpoint, one way of looking at it is like, well, if you're putting a player down, if you look at it that way, those comments, might be hurting his value if the Raptors were interested in having trade talks. Right. On the flip side, if he was aligned with the front office and this is something that they've been disappointed about and this is a message that they want to send, then it's a different conversation, right?
Okay.
But we're absent of that information. That's the thing. Like, I guess it's less criticism, but more like I'm just curious when it comes to Nick, when he is talking about players and like doing these, like how closely are they aligned in terms of like how he feels about the roster versus how the front office or how the front office feels about how he's utilizing certain players. Right.
Okay. All right. Well, next question is for you because, as always, we always do 2 basketball questions and 1 non-basketball. So go ahead.
Yeah. Let's see. This is from your friend Sahal.
Shout out to Sahal.
Says, I'm very serious when I ask this, so please answer this as honestly as you can. Friends have been debating this for days. Both are newly made and as fresh as can be. Krispy Kreme or Cinnabon. Clear answer for me is Krispy Kreme.
A clear answer for me is neither, but they're both kind of nasty to me. No, I just don't like things that are that sweet, to be honest. But
okay,
I don't know.
Move this man.
I think I'm gonna have to go with Cinnabon. We're talking about freshly made, right?
Well, here's the thing. Here's my tiebreaker for me. Like Cinnabon, I famously recently ordered Cinnabon from Duffer Mall on Uber Eats.
Nah, that's wild. That was
and I think I had to hit $30 worth to get like a 40% off. So I ordered $30 worth of Cinnabon.
How many Cinnabon is
So I had like the 4 regular size. I had 2 minis. There was like some sticks that came with it, like Cinnabon sticks. But anyways, the whole point of it is like you can only have like 1 Cinnabon, like one.
Yes.
Like even 1 is like a whole meal.
No, 1 is actually a whole meal. Actually, so I was doing a little bit of research on this.
Yeah.
And you'll appreciate this because you're a big stan. 1 Cinnabon has more caloric value in terms of just how many calories than an entire Swiss chalet meal. Like the quarter chicken with the bread roll, with the sauce that you love so much that tastes like water, with the salad, with salad sauce. Like,
show us a Swiss chalet, man. Hit me up separately for the individual sponsor.
Yeah, I'm saying no to that.
I got you.
Got standard.
Send sponsor tweets, anything. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not surprised. Like when you eat a Cinnabon, like trust me, it's a whole experience.
Well, I don't know. There is something about it's nice. First of all, you can only eat Cinnabon if you're in the mall.
I can only eat. Well,
it's just like
you can also
eating a
get it
pretzel.
on food services apps. I can't. Once I have one Cinnabon, like I'm not gonna crave it for like another year. Whereas Krispy Kreme, when I walk on Spadina, see that Krispy Kreme, drop in,
There's a lot of good
get a
donuts in the
couple,
city.
one of that. What is it? They're like original, like they're just their original glazed.
Mm,
That's a classic to me. That's like the Big Mac of donuts to me.
wow.
Is
You know,
that
it kind of is. I agree with you.
is that a satisfying answer for Sahal?
Yeah.
I think this is probably more than he expected.
I just, yeah, I don't know. A warm Cinnabon, I still think that that's probably up there. But yeah, that's like, again, this is for me neither, to be honest. I'm not a big fan of sweets.
Okay.
Okay, next question from Shanda, front of the program.
Oh, okay.
Shouts
This is
to Shanda.
basketball because I'm not ready to answer basketball questions today. Clearly.
Oh, okay, well, that's fine. I wasn't ready to do the show. Also, myself, to be honest. Shanda says, "Does OG have a case for All-Star? What are the odds if we continue this 500 path with guys in and out that we actually have no All-Stars?"
The odds currently on Bet Rivers are odds of OG making the All-Star team.
Yes.
I think it'd be tough once Pascal comes back.
Why?
Because you do really see two Raptors making the All-Star team? Can you see two Raptors making the All-Star team in the East?
Right now, it'll be tough.
When you start looking around at how many teams have players that can make a case for it.
Well, Boston deserves two. Right? I think
Yes.
Tatum and Brown should both be in.
Yeah. By the way, are you down with the whole, because they've been pushing them as the best. Everyone's like, that's the best duel in the league.
I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah?
It's pretty good. I know.
Yeah, if you ignore Jaylen Brown's like social posts and other things.
I mean, that doesn't count.
Counts for me. Okay, so
What about
yeah,
KD and
Boston's
Utah?
no Boston's sending two. Then you go down the list. You got the Giannis, KD. Cleveland's gonna send at least one.
Cleveland's definitely going to send one, maybe
Right.
two.
Can see
Atlanta's going to send Trey.
Atlanta's gonna send Trey.
They'll probably try to push for Murray, but I kind of maybe see a harder
Once you go down the
case
list,
for
it's
that.
hard to see two Raptors. So for me, I think even if OG's having an all-star caliber type of year, if Pascal comes back and is playing at this level, he's clearly like that guy that's going to go. I don't think there's a
agree with you.
scenario where there's no Raptor that goes, because I do think Pascal's going to make a really strong case.
You think there's a chance that like somehow OG is scoring 20 a game and the Raptors put together like a 6 or 7 game win streak and near the time of the All-Star break and
That, yeah. But I mean, they got to start doing that soon.
Oh,
I mean,
okay,
I know the All-Star game is until like February,
Yeah,
but
I
it's
was
like,
gonna say, what do you mean soon?
But right now they're a 500 team. Like they really need to go
but
on
I
like
mean,
a run.
they've been destroyed by injuries.
Yes, but that's fine. Like I don't care how they got there. They're 9-9. This is all I'm saying is like
Okay,
if you want to
alright.
make the All-Star team, you got to be. We've said this at the start of the year. You got to be like a number 1, number 2 seed, like really surprise story, right?
Oh, that's fair.
They're
fair.
not that right now.
That's fair.
So
Okay, good response, man.
yes, sorry,
you
man.
were ready for this.
I had to step up, because I had no criticisms of Nick on air.
You really didn't have any, even though I hear you complain about him all the time.
Really? Oh, come on, Cap.
I don't
Shouts
know,
to
man.
Nick.
And end cap. Next one. Even though we're headed towards a positionless league, what position do you think prime Scottie Barnes will be playing?
Oh, brother.
By the way, I think
Power forward?
okay, I think he was more effective last season as a power forward.
I think a 4. I think like a 4. Yeah.
So not a 1.
I don't see him playing point guard full time.
Well,
I don't know.
I think for me, it's like watching him play point guard this year, a couple of things. Number one, like I thought when Thorpe came on, he brought up the point that Scottie doesn't use screens well.
Okay.
Right? How often do you see him shedding his defender on that screen and then sort of adapting to the situation from there and breaking down the defense from there? Like we're about to see someone who uses screens very well in Luka coming up here. Okay. Obviously, you don't have to be as good as Luka to play point guard. But that's one example. You can kind of compare and contrast the sort of I don't know, effectiveness in which they sort of navigate screens and use it on an offensive end.
Right.
I think the other thing too is the jumper's got to continue to improve to the point where it's very, very fluid for him. Right. Even Pascal, for example, is not a high pick and roll player, and he's a guy who can generate a ton of offense for you. Right. But he doesn't also. He has the same kind of issues, to be honest. The Raptors don't run a lot of pick and rolls with him. And then the other thing too is just like, okay, fine. It's okay if you don't necessarily shoot it that great or even use screens that great, but do you have the ability to sort of create separation, when you're trying to attacking? And a lot of these games, you do see Scottie go into his dribble move, and it looks cool, but the defender's standing right there and doesn't actually get shaken by it. Maybe part of that's because they're not really respecting the jumper, but at the same time, like those are the areas that he needs to improve on to sort of become like that sort of primary creator for you, right? Because again, we just saw it in the past like month or so. His playmaking package right now, in terms of him generating the offense for himself or the team, isn't advanced enough. And that doesn't mean that he won't get there, but you probably have to work like a guy like Pascal to get to that point, right? Pascal put in so much work, right? And that's where you need to see that continue. But yeah, I mean, positionally right now, the way I play him is, probably as a 4. Okay, obviously a guy who can make some plays for you, but also fill in the gaps in between. I like that he's catching and shooting from 3 better this season, although the sample is still small, but so far the results look better. But yeah, it's probably a 4. And then defensively, the Raptors like to use him a lot guarding the 1, or at least not the 1 necessarily, because, a team like Dallas, for example, is Luka the 1? I'm not really sure, but they like to put him on the primary ball handlers. And on that front, I don't mind it. I actually kind of like it as well, but he needs to continue to improve the technique of like containing the dribble and forcing the attacker to go in the places that the Raptors can actually send help from. Because if he's just getting beaten off the dribble and it really limits, how the Raptors can guard it the rest of the way,
Yeah, I think this question depends too on how the roster is going to look like moving forward. Because
don't you build a roster sort of with him specifically in mind? It's like having one nice piece of furniture and you're just saying like, I'm going to have this type of couch or this lamp right here because of this. You build around that one showpiece.
Yeah, but the other thing is like, Fred's going to be up for a new deal soon, so you don't know if he's going to be on the team. Like if Fred is on or not on the team, that might change the equation of like where they want to slot him.
Do you worry about that at all? Because I don't really. I just assume Fred's going to continue to stay here.
But once you start looking at the long term of this team, like a lot of guys are going to have to get paid, right?
Sure, yeah.
So
I paid Fred though.
Yeah. So Fred on his next deal, you think what is he getting? Like $35 million a year?
Maybe.
I use CJ McCollum as the bar now because CJ is getting 30 a year.
Yeah.
So to me, Fred is in the 30 to 35 range.
It depends on how his health holds up. Because sometimes I'm always a little worried that like it can't be. Like obviously right now it's the flu, so there's nothing you can really do about that. Okay, but I mean like the other stuff, like
there's a difference between
hold up his ankle and stuff like that.
But there's a difference between how much you're willing to you think is fair for Fred and versus what Fred's gonna want though, right?
Well, who else is gonna give that to Fred? You can want something, but you need someone to give that to you.
Yeah, I think there will be teams though. I mean, I don't got the list of teams in front of me. Shocker. Fred's gonna have to get paid.
Yeah.
Pascal, if he makes All NBA, is gonna be eligible for Supermax, right?
Yeah.
So he's gonna have to get paid. I mean, Gary, that's a separate conversation.
That's a separate combo.
Yeah. OG's deal is up, like, what, in 2 years?
Yep.
Yeah.
Not this year, but after next year.
Yeah. And then even Scottie, too, is going to be off his rookie deal. So, yeah, I don't know. Do you think all those guys are going to get paid here?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Except for Gary.
Yeah.
At this rate, honestly, it doesn't. I mean, just look. I mean, again, Nick kind of laid the cards out on the table.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've ever thought of, like, Fred as, like, a flight risk in terms of leaving. But
no.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, look.
I think he's the most divisive one when it comes to the fan base. I think there's a certain faction of the fans who are like, clearly we need Fred.
Here's the thing. Most of the players on the team, people just agree are good. They just disagree on how good. With Fred, some people actually think that the team is better without him. It's a very different style. You know what I mean? Like, some people actually are, but it was kind of reminding me of how it was with DeRozan back in the day. Except Fred is actually an advanced stats darling, but whatever. One last, non-basketball question before we go to break.
Sure, Will. Who wins in a fight, Patrick Beverley or Serge Ibaka?
That's basketball.
I guess that's kind of basketball.
That's basketball.
But it's a non-basketball topic in a way.
Okay, so Pat Beverley would have to catch him by surprise.
Which he's known to do.
Which he is known to do, right?
He's the ultimate trick-or-treat player.
Oh, man. Serge obviously has the size advantage, the reach, everything like that.
Serge will not be coming at you from behind.
No, Serge.
You will see Serge coming.
With Serge, I think the issue is when we've seen him in some of these scuffles, he doesn't actually land the punch very often.
Oh, okay. Which it's probably for the better.
It's definitely for the better. The one time he landed was when he grabbed Marquise Chris by the throat.
Oh, God,
which was honestly an all-time Raptor moment for me personally.
I'm gonna go with Serge easy on this one.
Yeah,
yeah.
He's gonna ask, "How hungry are you?"
Well, shouts out, "How hungry are you?" By the way, not available on Sportsnet's YouTube.
Yo,
it's been going viral everywhere, every episode.
Yeah,
Giannis, Alec Manoa. So,
do you think Serge knows anything about baseball?
Oh God, it's so good.
Dude, that was us eating cow's tongue yesterday at Hot Pot.
So
how long is this drop?
Yeah.
Stop it.
That was us eating spicy bullfrog.
Oh man.
Nah, Serge knows. I think Serge knows as much baseball as you do.
I'm
Just
pretty
not
sure I
wrong.
know more baseball than Serge Ibaka,
Think
man.
of me. Oh man, I think Serge could name more baseball players.
You think
than
you can explain the infield fly rule?
I think Serge could name more baseball players than you. By the way, we're talking about this off air.
What?
You
No,
think?
what?
You think
I
I
was a
can?
big baseball fan back in the day.
You think if we played up to 11 that I could score on Malachi Flynn?
Once.
And I'm like,
once.
you're crazy. Like, no, he's an NBA. Like, these are NBA
Okay,
players.
Forget 11 because you're right. Well, 1 in 11. I'm not giving you like a 9% chance of scoring him. But if you were locked in the gym playing him 1-on-1 for an hour, I think you might be able to accidentally score a bucket.
I don't think so.
Really?
I really don't think so. It just shows that I respect NBA players more.
No,
than
I also really respect NBA players. I'm just talking about like the physics of somebody who's the same height as you and you scoring a hook shot over them once. By accident.
Okay.
That's possible. Like it's not possible for you to score on like Pascal or Scottie or OG, you know?
Yeah, we'd love to try.
I think we should set that up. And we should also get the no analytics system on it. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with more Twitter questions. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
take off with it. Kirill Kaprizov up to center, hands it off for Joel Eriksson Ek down the left side. Into the corner, Hollowell watching him. Sandin trying to catch it back to the goal. Zuccarello hands it off. Kaprizov wraparound attempt. One whack at it, two. Murray down, and Murray will keep it out and holds on, and we'll get a little shoving match around the Leaf net. But not much more will happen after that with Matt Murray holding the fort. To go in the first. It's the Leafs 2, the Wild 1 from Minnesota. This is Molson Leafs hockey on Sportsnet 590, the Fan and the Maple Leafs Radio Network. Oh, good. No, we didn't.
Welcome back to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Win Liu, joined by Alex Wong. We're taking Twitter questions, as we do most Fridays, to be honest. But something we do every Friday is give thanks. So, Alex, go ahead.
Yeah, shouts to Derek Brandeo as always, helping us
Salute.
behind the scenes and in studio today.
Man.
Going the extra mile for us. We really do appreciate
This guy
it.
was doing the Kyle Lowry and George Hill move.
We're gonna keep shouting out Jennifer Olnick, even though she did bail and went on vacation.
I hope you're having a great time.
Yeah, right.
Scandinavia.
Yes, all that. But we've had Frank Baraska fill in.
Shout out to Frank, man.
And he's
we finally learned his last name.
He's blended seamlessly into the squad, So
yeah.
why don't you ever talk soccer with Frank, man?
Is Frank a soccer guy?
You always just go in and talk to Derek. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I don't. Anyways,
Well, at least one of us talks to Derek.
That's what you. That's what you do at the office, man. You just neglect people. People such as Devang, Kyle Craig, Josiah, JR. JR is the secret third Asian.
No, his name is Will JR, actually. Will Jr.
Chris Tarosa, Dan Tolman, Ryan Fabro, Greg Sansoni, Pat Flash, everyone else supporting us behind the scenes. Shouts to the guests this week. Small guest list, Vivek Jacob and Blake Murphy.
That's all we need.
Well, I was just like, I don't want guests to come on the show this week and deal with a very unfocused Will Liu.
The World Cup is on next week, too,
So I will be here for 4 days again.
Wow.
Yeah, except for secretly not here on Friday, producing at home.
Right, I was going to say, you're actually not here for that day.
Shouts to everyone who bought tickets to our live event. It's officially sold out.
It's officially sold out.
Officially sold out.
Honestly, if there is like some sort of overwhelming demand, especially last minute, we might be able to open up like, I don't know, am I speaking on a turn? Can we maybe open up like a tiny block?
We can talk.
Yeah, anyway.
I just don't want it to be a like kind of a overfilled space, right?
I agree.
I think as much as we want, everyone that wants to be there. Also want to make sure everybody just has a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
And
and just be comfortable.
Chris Boucher will be there. There's been talks that he might bring another player. So see.
Wow.
Chris,
well, the big thing is we're going to raise a lot of money for charity and have a great time and get to know a lot of people in the Raptors community.
Foundation. If we had a second show, we could have raised enough money to pay for Christian Coloco's fine.
This guy trying to sell 2 nights.
No, we're pushing it. Like
this guy said, I got a pardon, Jay, for selling out the garden in a day.
What? Yo, what's going
Grow
on?
talk.
Man?
Come on. You didn't know I had that in my bag.
God. Holy. Yo.
Yeah.
What?
I know.
Man, me and Will go together like Nike Airs and Chris T's.
All right, you lost me, but it's all good.
That's Dear Summer.
You know what, actually, before we get to more Twitter questions, I have to say
please
this.
Stall.
So yesterday, Alex was, was kind to treat me and some other friends to
Elaine Kwan,
a hot pot dinner. Yeah, it was the meeting of Dame Dashes. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you were like, okay, so first off, if we're gonna go to Hot Pot, we're gonna go, essentially to Scarborough. So we're gonna drive there after work. So
this was again Markham.
Okay, was it Markham? Was it north of Steeles?
Basically, it was Markham. Yeah.
Okay, fine. It was basically Markham, but Scarborough, Markham. It doesn't.
Yeah, they're not the same.
They're not the same, but it's the part where everyone is Asian and virtually they're similar. Anyway, so we went to Hot Pot, and you were driving to the two of us to the place from here
Yes.
at OMP.
Yes.
It took him 6 minutes, and I timed him 6 minutes to get his 2001 Honda Civic from the garage out to the street.
Yeah, but here's the
6
thing.
minutes.
This is my first time driving here to the employee parking.
Uh-huh.
And, I wasn't aware that there was 2 exits. One exit is for reserved parking, so you just tap your card, and the other is for, lowly producers like myself, which we're ticketed and we have to pay and head out the other way.
No, you really tried to use the Ed Rogers exit.
I really did. I said, "Do you know who I am?" They're like, "No." Go to
You had to
Isabella
hit the
Street.
intercom.
They're like, yeah.
Oh man.
I was like, "My name is." I'm like, Alex Wong,
They're
Raptors
like,
Show
"Who?"
producer. They're like, Isabella Street exit. Yeah.
Anyway, it took 6 minutes to get out there.
Yeah, we couldn't because it's 2001 Honda Civic. Before we left, you were saying, "Hey, new Chris Boucher podcast, Hustle Play just dropped.
Yeah.
We can bump this in the car because it's going to be like a 40, 50-minute drive." I'm like, "There's no Bluetooth in there."
No,
man.
you're like, how are you going to bump it? I'm
Yeah,
like, what do you mean Bluetooth? And he's like, no, there's no Bluetooth. I'm like, okay, maybe aux cord. There's no aux cord.
No,
You
man.
actually couldn't do anything if you wanted to play media from your phone and listen to it in the car with you.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. This is not a promo for the station. In your car, it's locked to 590.
Yes.
All right. And you only listen to it on a low level. Like I'm talking about when you turn the dial, it doesn't go higher than like 5.
Because when you drive, you have to focus. Yeah. Too
No,
much like outside
all we had is
noise.
Ben Ennis and Blake Murphy whispering to us from the radio.
Yes.
That's all you had. And then the other option in terms of entertainment were 3 CDs because
Yeah.
this car only plays cassette and CD.
Do you remember the CDs?
One of them was De La Soul.
Yeah, I had a De La Soul. As I told you, De La Soul is not available on Spotify.
Right,
so
right.
you can only hear De La Soul in my car. Like
That's
you were
right.
in an exclusive environment yesterday.
No, it was actually an exclusive environment because stepping into your 2001 Honda Civic is actually like stepping back to 2001.
It is a time travel experience.
Yeah.
Sound Bombing 2 is the other CD, and
Right.
Red Man, there is a dark side.
Right, yeah.
So
But it was
Anyways.
a good ride, yeah. And
was
you
a good
and you
ride.
also dropped me off home as well.
I did
Appreciate
drive.
you,
I
man.
did
How long
drive
did it take you to
home.
get home after that?
I don't know, turned right on DuPont, Sherborne, Davenport, made my way back. Yeah.
Sherborne's nowhere near those 2 streets, but all right.
I don't know, man. Also, my cup holder in my car is so small, it can barely fit my iPhone.
Oh yeah. You also don't have a phone holder, and you don't use Waze. This guy just used Apple Maps. Like that's unbelievable.
It's a
man.
whole experience, man.
Mm.
Anyways, it's a whole new game. Shouts to your friend Ravi as well.
Shouts to Ravi, yeah.
Yeah, shouts to your friend Ravi. Shouts to my mom. My mom left for Hong Kong today for a vacation.
Okay.
She will not be back till the start of the playoffs, basically.
Wow.
Like
That's a long time.
Yeah, so she's gone. So, some of us wake up at 4 a.m. to watch the World Cup, and some of us wake up at 3 a.m. to 2 a.m. to watch Raptors Show. That's what my mom's gonna be doing.
Really?
No, she's gonna catch it on the YouTube stream.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, so
That's
my
fair.
mom's built different.
All right.
Anyways.
She's not in the YouTube chat. Okay. All right. We're gonna take more Twitter questions.
Oh yes, please.
This one is actually a 2-parter. So one for me and then one for Alex. So one basketball, one non-basketball. For me, it was: is the solution for the Raptors' half-court offense issues a missing piece / new player, or something changing in the rotation / schemes? So I think the biggest change, obviously, is getting Pascal back and healthy. This is like super obvious, right? But then again, even with Pascal healthy, the Raptors' half-court offense has not been that efficient. I think probably how would you say this? I think having a center who finishes consistently at the basket will really help for you, right? We're even like seeing the difference between Thad catching passes down low versus Koloko catching passes down low. Like there is a difference there. I think you could probably provide more of a rim threat if you had more of a center. That could probably help pull more defenders closer to the paint, and then some of your shooters are more open, right? But I also do think so. I think that would suggest more towards like, getting a new player, right? An acquisition sort of improve the half-court offense. But I think there's probably some tweaks that, again, it's just more clarification of roles. Like, you don't want to see certain players try things that they're not really good at, right? Like, I think, with Precious, I think you got to limit his role. If you want to have the most efficient outcomes, you probably need to keep Gary in a strictly kind of either catch and shoot or catch and attack kind of role. And I think right now we've seen at times where he's been stretched above that and the efficiency has not been good. And I think especially with Scottie too, because some of Scottie is also just like self-generated stuff that he hasn't been finishing efficiently, and then sometimes he's able to really be efficient with that as well. So his performance is more sort of his own work, I think, but I think the rest of the team like is finding a role that sort of fits them the best. And I think I don't know. Do you feel like when you watch the Raptors play that they're playing super optimally all the time offensively, or do you feel like you're trying to get everyone a touch?
Yeah, I think
Because that's two different approaches.
I think the latter. And I think the question
Yeah,
for you,
me
the
too.
follow-up
Yeah.
question I would have for you on this is, do you really think with the way the roster is currently constructed, like what is the ceiling of this team as a half-court offense? Like, do you really think with internal development and players getting better that they could actually get to, I don't know, top 5, top 10?
I don't know
in the
about top
half-court?
5, but I think they can get to top 10 if sort of Scottie continues to improve.
Okay, because I think that's
Because
the
I
question.
think that's the secondary creator that you need.
I think that's the question the front office needs to ask too, right?
Right.
As they're assessing this team, because at some point you got to just think about if you do need to make a move.
Yeah.
To actually get the team to that level. And I
Yeah,
think the answer
yeah.
I'd probably lean yes than no
Okay.
on that.
Yeah, I mean, you're very clear. You want to trade for KD. That's a solution
That's
to the
a
half-court
separate
offense.
conversation though.
Is it?
Shouts at KD, man. I'm a stan.
Okay, anyway, the second half of this question.
Oh,
Alex,
okay.
what's your bet for the longest deep squat Nick does this season? And this person has kindly attached a clip from the Nets game that they went to. I think this is in Brooklyn, where Nick squatted for a full minute.
Yeah. So I do want to point this this person to a story that Yaron Weitzman did for Fox Sports, I believe, last year.
Yes, that's right. We had him on the show for
where,
this.
Yeah, where he did talk to Nick, and he had watched Nick Nurse at a couple of Raptors games and timed his squats.
He literally clocked him
Yeah.
the same way I clocked you trying to get out the parking lot today, yesterday. Yeah.
So people should actually people should actually check that out. So
Okay.
look up Yaron Weitzman. But yeah, I don't know. Has Nick been squatting as much this year? I haven't been paying attention to that.
It feels like a little bit less.
Okay.
It was my eye test, but I don't know if my eye test
eye test nasty.
is nasty on this one or
Yeah.
not. All right.
Cool.
You got another question, or you want me to bring up another basketball one?
No, definitely not.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's see. Okay, let's just clear this one. Emma J. Brown, shouts her New Zealand ambassador, wants to know who is your favorite Emma?
My favorite
Emma
Emma
rankings, top 3.
Aside from Emma J. Brown,
number 1 is Emma J. Brown. Number 2, Emma Watson. Number 3, Emma Darcy.
What about Emma Thompson?
Okay, Emma Thompson is a Gerald Henderson Award.
What do you mean, man? One of the best performances in Love Actually. My favorite Christmas
Yeah,
movie.
you love your rom-coms.
Love Actually.
Man, 8 minutes left on the show. My laptop battery's at 5%.
Okay,
Man, living life quarter
let's get
mile
another
at a
one from
time.
you then.
Oh, okay,
It's
sorry.
gonna make you scramble.
Let's see. My computer's really slow right now. As fellow hardcore fans, do you find that going to games in person are not as enjoyable because it's less about basketball and more about entertainment?
I'm not really sure what they mean by this. Is it
Yeah.
like more halftime shows and stuff? Because I feel like there's always been halftime shows. If anything, there's been better halftime shows than what we're seeing of late. By the way, my least favorite halftime show for people who go to the arena and know this one, the one where they bring out the hula hoops and like it's like a I don't know, like a stage kind of thing with like a mount and a hula hoop that's like spinning constantly, and then there's like 2 acrobats who just like twirl in and out of this hoop. It just, I don't find it to be engaging enough for me. It's not Red Panda. And maybe I'm holding them too high of a standard because that's actually the growth. But
yeah, shouts to Red Panda. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the OG Bull. Yeah.
Wow.
All right, let's go to basketball questions.
Okay.
I feel
All right.
like the basketball questions are stronger today.
Fair enough. This one, noticing Boucher missing his threes when he catches the ball not prepared and then takes step back to make sure that he's at the 3-point line. Seems to always miss, but when he catches and toe taps to shoot, minimal movement leads to higher percentages. Have you noticed this? You know what he's talking about? So sometimes the Raptors will be swinging the ball around, but he's a little bit late, or even just like the pass is a little too early, and he has to sort of like step back behind the 3-point line and then get the shot off. Versus when he's catching and shooting, he can obviously plant his feet already and then catch the pass and then shoot. To be honest, I think this is probably universal for most players.
Yes, but no, I haven't noticed that. You seen that? Like in terms of Chris?
There was a play
Okay.
in the Nets game where he got the pass either too early or whatever, or he wasn't in full position yet, and he had to sort of step back behind the line and he missed it. So I think that's probably what this person was pointing to. But I think this is probably universally true for all players, though. Like, the footwork is nasty sometimes. All right, next one from Aiden. What do you think Christian Coloco's ceiling is as a player? By the way, Christian Coloco, he's been working on those corner threes. I wanted to see him make one eventually because I saw him make 8 straight, and the board said pretty green for most of
Man,
it.
you should go. Yeah, every time you go to practice, that's a lot of content. You bring
Oh, when I
back.
go to practice, I go to actually get content
Yeah.
for us.
I think Christian Coloco ceiling. I guess I just look at it more on the defensive end.
Can he be a
Actually,
Miles Turner then? If he can knock down threes with some regularity. Obviously, right now he's not doing it, but like in game at least.
Yeah, I don't
But
know if
can
I
he
don't
be
know
that?
if- I just want him to focus on like the big man things though, like in the low post type thing, like defense, finishing around the basket, all of that stuff.
Right, the
Like
basics.
like a mini like Clint Capella type.
Well, he did go through before he did the 3-point shooting stuff. He did go through like 20 minutes of just finishing drills, like
Right.
catching on the move with coaches.
Right.
You know, some of the tall
Yeah.
Raptors coaches around the basket contest him, that kind of stuff, which is good. Obviously,
but
that's
I do
the
think
biggest
the early returns are promising, and I would love to see him, continue to grow and be part of this rotation. I think that'd be a very important piece.
Yeah, I like it. I like just his awareness defensively is pretty strong
Yeah.
for me.
We're crawling to the weekend, man.
No,
What's
you know what?
up?
I'm gonna take a non-basketball question because I wanted to get to this one
Okay.
because of the fact that obviously I'm a huge soccer fan. This
Yeah,
one from
let's do
Pascal
it.
Propaganda,
Yeah.
the Emma J. Brown of Pascal.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What position would Pascal Siakam fill as a football/soccer player?
Yeah. I mean, this is all you. Man.
Yeah, I don't
Once
know why
again,
I'm
I don't
asking
know.
this
I
to
don't know anything.
Okay, so first off, we got to be very clear on this. Okay, really tall soccer players almost always are not technically gifted enough to actually play any position outside of goalkeeper and maybe potentially striker.
Okay.
Even most strikers that you see are taller on average. I would say that strikers are usually taller than midfielders. Defenders are also quite tall as well, but like when you're talking about a guy who's like 6'9", 6'10", they're just not low enough to the ground where they can change his directions and pivot and control different parts of their body. Like it's not a coincidence that like the greatest players of all time are like Messi or Maradona or Pele. These guys are like 5'10" at most.
Yeah. Short
at best.
kings.
They're short kings. This is a sport for short kings. When you're able to change positions, when you're able to sort of change directions, obviously take the touches, and also just be quick. I don't know. It's just harder for bigger guys to sort of do this.
So you don't think Pascal could be a striker?
No, I kind of doubt it, to be honest. I think probably just goalkeeper realistically. But if you were going to say like what position does his responsibility on the basketball court resemble in terms of on the pitch, I'd probably say he's like attacking midfielder.
Mm.
You know, if those still exist in soccer these days. Yeah. Kevin De Bruyne type.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know Kevin?
Yeah. Belgium.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
We watched them together.
Oh, I can't wait to watch the Team Canada game on Sunday. Honestly,
Who are they playing?
they will be playing Croatia.
Wow. That's a pretty good answer. It's a pretty good answer.
How you think I won't know who they're playing?
Yeah,
And then they're
actually.
playing Morocco now on Thursday.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they pretty much need to win on Sunday.
They definitely need to win.
Yeah,
Probably twice.
Yeah.
If they win twice, they're guaranteed. They're through.
yeah, that's asking for a lot.
That's asking for a lot. Morocco actually looks pretty decent as well.
2-minute warning.
You got any other question?
Yeah, who's the green tea on this team? So we've established that Fred is Rice, and yesterday you said Thad Young is Ramen because
Yeah.
he's very dependable.
Anytime you
when
go
you
to
need
ramen is very
sustenance.
consistent. It's there. It's pretty good. You can't have it for every meal, but
Yeah,
you know.
So green tea is kind of like the palate
green
cleanser.
tea,
you
palate
know?
cleanser, energizer after you have a bigger meal. You can have it outside of meals. So
Yeah.
it's got to be good on and off the court. You know,
It's hard, man.
it's a hard one.
Yeah, I don't know if there is a green tea right now. Might need to think about that one.
Green tea. Yeah.
No, there's not a lot. Might be Masai.
No, it's Bobby.
Might be Masai, actually. When Masai
Really?
comes through with the speeches, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Okay, we did it, brother.
Why is this your response?
Congratulations. Happy weekend, everyone.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Any more questions? No? By the way, the
good.
rest of the questions we will actually answer
We'll
on
take
the,
it to the Vanderpod.
Yeah, we will. We have Raptors as dumpling flavors. We have Raptors as Canadian provinces.
Yeah,
we have
lots of
Raptors
that.
as Canadian national team players. Raptors as soccer positions. There's a lot of these good questions.
Yeah.
And we'll get to those next week.
No,
But,
appreciate everybody, honestly. Appreciate everybody sending in questions. Appreciate everybody coming to the live event. All of that stuff.
Yes, exactly. So, I've been your host, Willou. You've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find The Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review our show. Reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. Thanks again to producer and co-host Alex Wong, and board producer Derek Brandale, and Frank Baraska for helping us with the YouTube stream. We will be back soon. And Canada, please secure 2 results this weekend. Thank you.